So Cori Bush, so the big problem is that Force the Vote revealed that when we all organized, we all donated, we all raised consciousness, and we got a bunch of progressives elected to Congress called the Justice Democrats. They're supposed to work as a bloc, just like the Freedom Caucus did, the Tea Party Freedom Caucus did. And I know they were supposed to do that because Kyle Kalinske, who founded the Justice Democrats, said so. And I showed you that last week on the show, that he said the whole point of the Justice Democrats, and I know because I founded it, was that they vote as a bloc and use and then they're not doing that. And it's gotten so bad, Ron, that even CNN has noticed. So I noticed with Force to Vote, and now it seems like everyone, even CNN, watch this, Cori Bush.
Senate.
Cori Bush goes on CNN, and watch what CNN does.
Senate, Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia has essentially, used what seems to be a veto power against a lot of progressive priorities, including some of the ones that you've mentioned. But in the House, Democrats have this 2-seat majority. There are 6 members of the squad, of which you are a part. What's stopping you from flexing that same power for your agenda? You just said you would vote against a compromise on qualified immunity. Are you prepared, and the rest of the squad prepared, to use that kind of veto power that you have if you vote as a bloc?
I'm prepared to do whatever is needed to make sure that that our agenda moves forward. But I can't speak for the rest of the squad members. At the end of the day, my sister Ayanna Presley says it all the time. You vote alone, and you're voting for your districts. So you're voting for the people who voted you in. You're voting their needs and their values.
So you're outnumbered, but you have leverage if you vote together as a bloc, and you won't even band together to use your leverage and vote as a bloc. Well, that's reassuring. That is reassuring. She won't even. And so here is Marianne Williamson calls bullshit. She says, I don't get the you vote alone comment. They're not willing to vote as a bloc and exert that power that comes from that. No, Marianne, and this is what's been going on since Forced to Vote. We highlighted this starting last November, that they're not going to do this. And I knew they weren't going to do it, because if they were going to do it, they would have brought it up instead of letting a pothead podcaster come up with it. It wasn't like I'm some kind. They knew that they had the votes. They all have staffs of 20. You don't think there's someone like, hey, why don't we use our Politics 101? Nobody, of course they did. They're not going to do it on purpose. And Marianne Williamson still doesn't understand that they're not going to do it on purpose. It's not an accident, but I appreciate her saying that. That's super good. And by the way, you're not the one who isn't understanding. Marianne Williamson, when she says, I don't get it. No, you get it. It's okay. So we all voted individual to re-up Pelosi as speaker. Yeah, that's worse. So she's just saying, yeah, instead of voting as a bloc, we all voted individually. We all voted individually to re-up Pelosi as speaker. That's worse. We didn't strategize at all. And we just all individually expressed poor judgment. We didn't strategize or vote as a bloc. We didn't do any of that stuff. You know the reason we were sent here? We're not doing it. What it means is they haven't, nor do they plan on, getting together as a bloc to fight for anything. They've shown no signs of it so far. They make cheerleader tweets, but there is no action. Tweeting is as far as they will go, and as far as doing something. I'm glad we can all stop pretending now. There is no squad. It's just a dead phrase. That is exactly right. The whole purpose of having a group is to use the power of the group to push through policies that they all ran on and agreed needed to happen to help people who put them in office. Cori Bush just confirmed that the squad has zero strategy. Wow, they are completely useless. No, they're not. They're useless to us, but they're very useful to the Democratic corporate party because it keeps people from starting a third party outside the Democratic corporate party and actually challenging power. That's what the Justice Democrats are actually doing. The Justice Democrats are actually there thwarting real opposition to the establishment. They're there to sheepdog progressive energy back into a pro-Wall Street party and never fight for anything. And that's what's happening. The Justice Democrats, it should be easy as fucking pie. They should be running the show right now in D.C. Kyle Kalinske set this up perfect. They're not doing it. They won't do it. Kyle did not see that coming. I understand. I totally wanted it to work too. It didn't work. It's been an abject failure. The Justice Democrats are 100% fail. And it doesn't bring me any joy to say that. I'd much rather be sitting here talking about how Joe Biden has to capitulate because the squad has the leverage to get the $15 minimum wage. They have the leverage to make Joe Biden give us $20 billion in student debt relief instead of $20 billion going to the military. They have the power to do that. I'd much rather be covering those stories. Lord help me, why do corporate Democrats and conservative Democrats have no problem using their power, yet progressives never do? They won't form a block and do anything. Ever, 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 never. Then they demand I keep voting for them. Well, see, right, you got to stop voting for them. I stopped voting for them. And you got to stop donating to them. So I'm just waiting for that day when Cenk Uygur starts telling people to stop donating to the Justice Democrats. I can't wait for that day. I'm going to guess it will never happen because that would make him a bad boy. Because if Cenk Uygur told you to actually exert your influence over the Justice Democrats, that would make him a bad boy. And they'd make him resign from the Justice Democrats a second time. And he would do it. He would tuck his tail and resign because that's who Cenk Uygur is. He doesn't fight. We need more leverage. Yeah, but you don't use the leverage you have now. Shh. Stop being so divisive. That's it. That's all they say. We need more leverage. Yeah, but you're not using the leverage you have now. Shh. That's divisive.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome that the only people that are supposed to fight for working people in government, they have the strategy of a George Thorogood song. Like, some people want minimum wage, some people want health care, but I vote alone with nobody else. And you know when I vote alone, I prefer to be by myself. That's great. Wonderful.
It's undeniable at this point. LOL, we have no allies on the inside. It's undeniable. And I watched my friend Kyle Kalinske. It's ripping his heart out. And I actually feel for him. I'm not kidding. It rips my heart out. I don't want to see this happen. Cenk Uygur, sorry, but this is not right. You can. So he's retweeting Cori Bush saying that. This is Cenk Uygur, the guy who was lying about forced to vote, said it could go to the McCarthy as speaker, trashed my character, trashed the character of other people pushing forced to vote. This is Cenk Uygur. When the moment is past, now Cenk Uygur says, sorry, but this is not right. You can vote as a bloc to have more leverage. Either progressives in Congress don't know that, which is embarrassing, or they're... Why would you even bother to put that? Either they don't know that. They don't know that 5 months after Force the Vote started? They don't know? Of course they know. Why would you even bother to put that? Either they don't know that, which is embarrassing. Of course they know that. Now the answer is, why won't they do it? Why won't you ever even fucking He says, which is embarrassing, or they've chosen to not use their leverage. I really wish that... Why have they chosen not to? That's the question, Cenk. Why did you choose not to push them to use their leverage when the moment came? That's the bigger question. Why did you not push them? Why are you trying to pretend like you're for pushing them now? And I just retweeted that. By the way, even his own followers, they hated that tweet. It got 630 likes. That's it. That was it. I retweeted it. It got over 2,000. Just me saying, ha. Just me saying what a fucking idiot, obvious idiot he is. Jim Earl, Emmy Award-winning comedy writer Jim Earl says, you're like the Carlos Mencia of thieving political hacks to Cenk Uygur. Finally give Dore credit or go on tour with Carrot Top. I like that one. It's so funny how everyone on your network can't say the words force and vote too close together in a sentence that they're saying that to Jake Euchre. And here it is. Here it almost happened.
You're not actually killing the bill if you vote no. Because what is Biden going to do? Drop it? He's not going to drop it. That's not a thing that's possible. You can't drop this. You can't drop the budget. You can't drop the defense bill. Okay? Those are must passes. So what you do is you force, when you vote no.
I'll never get tired of playing that. Ron, anything you want? I mean, it's just so now we have Cori Bush going on saying, no, I vote alone and we're not going to vote as a bloc. That we're not doing the thing you sent us here to do. Go ahead.
And how mind-blowing is it that even CNN is pointing out you're not using your leverage? Like even CNN, an organization that really, really benefits if you don't. And even they're saying like, hey, just from a news perspective, why aren't you doing anything? I mean, anything. Like,
anything.
And you mentioned, third party. I mean, and I know it's a dream world, but imagine if right now at this very moment, every member of the squad was in a different party.
Imagine that.
They'd have no. I mean, they would be reporting directly to We the People, and We the People would be the people pushing them to use their leverage, which they would have to use because they'd have no incentive not to, first of all. And if they don't, then the people who got them there aren't behind them, and that's all they have. They don't have the option of, well, I can either listen to my base or listen to the party.
Imagine if those were people from the Movements for a People's Party that were the squad. Imagine that.
Sure. Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine if they were Greens. Imagine if they were from the Socialist Alternative Party. Imagine if there were 6 Socialist Alternative Party members or 3 Movement for a People's Party members that represented everybody in the same class. They weren't left-right. They represented everybody of the same interest, which means the 99%.
Yeah, totally. Greens, SPL. I mean, yeah, just imagine if there was, it'd be much better.
And the idea, so people say, well, you can't do a third party. It's too hard. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you don't do a third party, like if Movement for a People Party doesn't succeed, our country's not going to succeed. Obviously, electoral politics is over. They went backwards. They went from Hillary Clinton to a shittier candidate. Joe Biden worse than Hillary Clinton. And
which is remarkable.
So that's why. So what's the downside of the left doing Russiagate? Well, the Democrats got worse. That's what happened. They got worse. Hillary was going to give Medicare to people 50 and over. Joe Biden's not doing anything. He won't even give you the public option, which he ran on.
Yeah, so they always love to focus on the reasons you can't do something, and I'm not saying like a new viable party or even just a viable party is easy. Of course it is.
Of course it
is. It's a very tall glass of water. But you know what is also an extremely tall glass of water? The idea of reforming the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
that is also a very tall glass of water. So and all these excuses, well, the founding fathers, they never intended for anything other than a two-party system. Like, okay, well, they also had slaves and would solve problems by marching 15 paces and then shooting guns at each other. Maybe they didn't walk on water and it's time to evolve. I don't know.
Well said, Ron. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.